What's going on, guys? It's Kamisguide, one of your NPA Season 3 analysts, and today we're going to be going over Week 2, Game of the Week match between aDrive and the GalacticElliot. Definitely a showcase game for Week 2 of the NPA. Now, looking at these heavy-hitting teams, the GalacticElliot is going to be rocking out with Tentacruel, Salamence, Exploud, Clefable, Metagross, and Pangoro. Now, aDrive, aka Dan, is going to be rocking with the Infernape, Alolan Sandslash and Ninetales, Necrozma, Dragalge, and Shaman. Definitely some threats on both players' teams. Let's go ahead and get into this. Alright, now getting into this match, Elliot is going to go ahead and lead Tentacruel. Really solid lead on his part. Probably hard reading the Infernape to come out, possibly looking to stop him from setting up rocks. Infernape, besides clicking EQ, really doesn't have a solid way to deal with Tentacruel, so it is going to go ahead and switch out here. And he does go into the Dragalge, which is a pretty good switch, and it resists both stabs. Anything Tentacruel does isn't going to do a lot, and that did like 10. And not even 10%, that did like 10. Does show Black Sludge recovery on the Dragalge, which is different. I think it's popular on the ladder right now, but I definitely like to see what this Dragalge set might be. Elliot does switch out into Bows, which is the Exploud. Okay. And Dan substitutes. Okay. Really solid read. If you don't know, Boom Burst does go through sub, and so whatever switches in, or if this stays in, is going to take a tremendous amount of damage. And so it does. And Dragalge does fire off a Sludge Bomb here, hoping maybe pick up the kill. From max health, it does 80% solid, but does not pick up the kill, which means Exploud does get to fire off another Boom Burst. And so depending if Dan wants to keep this, which he does, he goes in and switches out into Whiteout, which is the Sandslash. Okay, so this is a Steel type, so it should resist it, but as you're going to see here, that is not what I call resisted damage. And as we have found out, this is not Specs Exploud, it is Scarfed. Goes for the Boom Burst again and gets the high roll, picks up the knockout here on the Sandslash, which is really good for Elliot. It allows him to just keep clicking Boom Burst with Scarf. It's just going to apply a lot of pressure later in the game. And in comes the Necrozma. Now, not a lot Exploud wants to do here. It doesn't want to sack it off just yet, so he goes into the hard wall, which is going to be the Pangoro. Not a lot that Necrozma is going to be able to do to Pangoro, and with Pangoro having Mold Breaker, it is going to break through Filter, and a knockout probably just one-hit KOs. That is a ×4 resisted Dark Pulse. Delicious. Dan is going to have to switch out because there's not a lot Pangoro can do, and luckily Pangoro does not get pursued. In comes the Shaman. It's going to take the knockoff here, and that is a lot of damage for a knockoff. Also does not show an item on the Shaman, which tells me it's Z Crystal. I think we found out it was Z Groundinium Z, the ground type Z move. Probably to hit the Tentacruel here, but it doesn't do quite enough, and this Dazzling Gleam is going to do 10 again. A lot of 10 doing here. But Shaman is not going to want to take a Sludge Bomb here, being super effective damage, so he is going to go ahead and switch out into the Dragalge. Okay, pretty fair play. It's going to resist it. This is probably a 2-hit KO from this range, honestly. And it does look like it might be. That looks like it's doing about 20 damage. And so it looks like he's sitting about 10 to 15 right now. After Black Sludge recovery, though, it might just be slightly out of range. But another Sludge Bomb might pick up the kill here for Tentacruel. Elliot does opt to Scald here. I'm not sure if he was predicting a switch or not, but it lives on like 1. Wow. Okay. So pretty solid, and gets the Burn, which is going to neutralize the Black Sludge recovery, and Dragalge is going to outright Draco Meteor here. Now this is adaptability boosted, so this is going to do like 70 to 80%. It did about 65 actually, which is pretty solid for not being Specs. If it had been Specs, I'm almost 100% certain it picked up the kill there. But with that -2 attack drop, Dragalge isn't going to be really doing anything else this turn unless he wants to switch it out. But I'm pretty sure Dan is going to go ahead and just sag it to a Scald. As he does, and Elliot does opt to Sludge Bomb this time, maybe making a maybe he wants to preserve it, but not gonna much matter as Tentacruel does go ahead and pick up the kill here. Unfortunate that it did take the Draco Meteor in the process, but getting a good amount of HP back from Black Sludge. And comes the Ninetales. Now it's probably gonna want to set up an Aurora Veil. Tentacruel, even with Sludge Bomb, is not gonna hit super hard through the Aurora Veil. Although Ninetales being base 110 speed is going to outspeed Tentacruel, and he is going to go ahead and set that up. And Aurora Veil is the new Reflect plus Light Screen combo. And if it's holding Light Clay, so it's 8 turns of just essentially every attack doing half damage. And that's going to be a result of that doing half damage. That should be doing twice that. And so Ninetales can effectively stay in on a Tentacruel when it shouldn't be able to. Also, it's a little unfortunate that Dan had to sack off the Aegis Slash there, with the Ninetales having putting up the Hail. Slush Rush could have been really effective. And in comes Metagross. Now this is Mega Metagross, or Mega Gross as we call it in the NPA. And Dan goes for a Freeze Dry. That's not going to do pretty much anything to Metagross being resisted. And having access to priority and a lot of hard-hitting moves, I'm not sure what he's going to click here. But Dan is going to go ahead and preserve Ninetales. Maybe have another screen set up later. And in comes Necrozma. Okay. If it's breeding a knockout here, Elliot goes ahead and Mega Evolves. Get all 4 arms. And Bullet Punches. Okay. So maybe he thought the Ninetales would try to stay in on it. This is not going to do very much to defensive Necrozma, and it does look like Necrozma is holding the Rocky Helmet. Ouch. Definitely built to wall Mega Metagross. Not a real issue though. Metagross doesn't have a lot that's going to be able to hit Necrozma super effectively, especially through Filter. And so Elliot is going to go ahead and switch out the Metagross, going into Pangoro, which is essentially his check to Necrozma. There's just nothing that Necrozma wants to do to Pangoro. And so if we see a switch on Dan's part, and we do, what does he switch into here? Does he make the read? He makes the read and goes into Shaman. Really, really solid play on Dan's part, trying to make reads, try to regain some momentum and some advantage here. Pangoro comes in, and Pangoro has to immediately get out because it will get knocked out by that Dazzling Gleam. And so Elliot does opt to go ahead and get the switch out here. Goes into Tentacruel to go ahead and resist it. Really solid switching on his part. Now, as we found out that he does have the ground moves, the Z ground move, it does do quite a bit of damage. I do believe it picks up the kill at this range on Tentacruel, but does opt just to Earth Power. Does this outright pick up the kill? And it does, so he did not need to burn the Z move there. Earth Power was enough, so Shaman is going to pick up the kill there. And so X-Cloud is going to go ahead and come back in here now. X-Cloud is going to do a tremendous amount of damage here to Shaman. I do think this can pick up the kill here. That is a specially defensive Shaman, so no, it does not. And Dazzling Gleam is going to go ahead and pick up the kill on X-Cloud. Kind of unfortunate. X-Cloud is one of my favorite Pokemon to use in League format. I think it's the definition of what a wall breaker is. And so in comes the Mega Gross. Okay. Not sure what he wants to do on Shaman here. But he is going to go ahead and switch out here. I guess he's doubling out into Pangoro, so he's baiting in the Necrozma. Okay. And so if this works, this sets Elliot really ahead. And Dan is switching. And he does switch into Necrozma. Very, very good play on Elliot's part. Not even Shaman can come back in on a knockoff at this point. So Dan is probably going to be forced to sack Shaman at this point, and he is. Knockoff was doing like 40%, so this is guaranteed going to get the kill here. And so Dan's getting limited in his options here. He's probably going to have to go into Infernape here to try to scare the Pangoro out and just get some big damage off on a couple of his Pokemon. Actually opts to go to the Ninetales here. Okay, I guess he's trying to get another screen up. But Pangoro learns Bullet Punch. And I'm pretty sure Adamant Life Orb at this range can pick up that kill, but maybe we can't. Let's take a watch here. Pangoro does go for the Bullet Punch. And Bullet Punch kills. Okay, cool. So Dan was probably going for screens there. Wanted to get a little bit more to just weaken the damage output from Elliot's team. Definitely some huge losses there. Definitely a little bit of oversight and prep maybe. But does go into the Infernape now. Nothing a Flare Blitz can't fix, in my opinion. You just start clicking Flare Blitz a couple times, and you're going to open some holes. Elliot is going to go ahead and switch out into Godmother, which is the Clefable. Okay, so this is going to tank almost any hit from Infernape. Infernape does click Hidden Power. I'm not sure what Hidden Power that is. It might have been Ice for the Salamence, predicting the Intimidate switch. So this does show to be in a special Life Orb, so it's probably Mixed Ape, honestly. But it does show that Clefable is not unaware. Okay, Clefable is unaware. Not Magic Guard, and Infernape's going to take Life Orb damage plus Hail here. Wondering if it has the coverage move for Clefable. Even so, I'm pretty sure a fully defensive Clefable can eat one Gunk Shot, and Dan misses the Gunk Shot. That's very, very unfortunate for him. I do believe Clefable at least lives one. And being neutral, wow. Infernape can be frail. It can be a little bit bulkier with the right investment, but that definitely did a clean 50% to Infernape. Not sure what Dan's going to do here. Is getting kind of low on options. Probably will stay in and try to hit the Gunk Shot this time. And he does go for the Gunk Shot. And it connects. Throw that trash can. And does look like Clefable does live one of those. It may have made a difference if it didn't live the second one, but Clefable gets poisoned. Not super relevant. As long as Clefable clicked the Moonblast again, which it did, it is going to go ahead and pick up the kill on Infernape here. Now, I do believe this brings Dan to his last mon, which is Necrozma, while Elliot is holding 4 Pokemon. Does have the Salamence in the back as well as the Metagross, but Pangoro is still there, and it does pretty much 100% wall the Necrozma. Poison's going to rack up the damage here. Does it pick up the kill? And it doesn't. Okay, so Clefable's going to live on 2. Necrozma is going to come in here. It's taking a little bit of damage left, but not much. I do think Necrozma outspeeds here, and Necrozma goes for Stealth Rock. Okay. Maybe just trying to get a little bit more extra damage on the Salamence if it switches in. And Clefable is going to get another Moonblast off. Now, this shouldn't do too much. It is a defensive Necrozma. It does about 20%, 20-30%. Clefable will go ahead and go down here to poison the leftovers. It's not going to be able to give you enough back HP there. And so far, we've seen Stealth Rocks and Dark Pulse on this Necrozma. 2 other move slots. I'm not sure what it has to hit the Pangoro, if it has anything. But Elliot's essentially 1 click away from winning this game. He just clicks Knockoff, and with Mold Breaker, it's going to go right through Filter. Unless Dan's hiding a Hidden Power in the back there on that Necrozma, not a lot I think it can do. Goes for the Thunder Wave. Okay, and misses. Ouch. Might have been looking for Paraflinching there with the Dark Pulse. But Knockoff is going to go ahead and come through here, and it does pick up the KO on Necrozma. Definitely a very well-played game on both parts. Elliot played fantastically as well as Dan. I think both players had a couple misplays that I didn't quite understand, but I think they both played their best, and it was definitely an entertaining game to watch. If you haven't watched it yet on either of their channels for their live comm reactions, definitely check those out in the description down below. But thank you so much for staying and watching the video. Definitely leave a like and a comment down below, as well as hit subscribe on that button so you get the next week's video. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!